certificates and renew them if necessary. Seeing some notifications about questions or things. No, they're not for me. Sorry. So how do you issue a certificate? So once you've installed this ACME client, how do you go about issuing a certificate? Well, that's very simple. You type acme.sh --issue for, do what I mean, minus the example.com. Please give me a certificate for example.com. And there are several modes you can run it in. The default mode for running it in is it assumes that you have a web server with a directory on your file system the web server can read from. So, imagining that your web server is listening or is serving files from a directory on your file.com, you could run acme.sh --issue the example.com -w, that path. If you only have your web server listening in your home directory, you can run it from your public HTML, etc. acme.sh also supports multiple domains, so you can have I think the fancy name for that is SANS, or subject alternative name, I think is the way it's encoded. You just specify more domain names, and the rest of the incantation is the same. Now, that's all well and good, provided that you have a web server. Some of us, feel the needs to go and add certificates to everything we have, not just web servers, but also mail servers. DNS over TLS is a popular thing as well these days, so that wants certificates. What else wants certificates? XMPP wants certificates. My printer wants a certificate for reasons. And all of these things are sitting on the inside of my network, and there's no public-facing web server, and I don't particularly feel the need to go and run a web server. So there's different modes you can run acme.sh. There's something called standalone mode, which is on machines. You can run that on machines that are still public facing, but don't necessarily have a web server. It requires the privilege to bind to port 80, which usually means you need to run your script as root, which always makes me a bit hesitant. And it still requires that machine to be publicly reachable just to get a certificate. The good news is that it only needs to be publicly reachable for the couple of seconds at a time when you're issuing or renewing your certificates. So you could run standalone modes and hack it a little bit so that it pokes a firewall pinhole, does its thing, and then goes back to living inside a secure box. Alternatively, and this is the mode I like to run acme.sh in, there's DNS modes where you rely on the DNS to prove ownership of domains rather than having ACME running on every machine where you want to issue certificates. So I've made a little demo. If I can share that window, I can find it. So I've created a shiny new domain. Does anyone see my terminal window? You should be able to see it. I've created there's no dig on this machine drill. SANOG,
terminal window looks good.
Good. SANOG 36. Not trouble it is. I've created this. It points at a very exciting part of the internet. It points at localhost. So this machine is unlikely to go and run a certbot publicly visible to the internet. So I use a DNS to point the SANOG 36 to my certificates alias domain, my certbots, which is a magic DNS domain where I can add and remove text records through an API. In fact, I'm running it on Azure, on Microsoft's cloud. There are several other clouds. ACME.sh has little plugins for several DNS servers. You could run NS updates if you run your own DNS server. And you want to enable automatic updates. There's the Amazon Route 53. There's even Hurricane Electric's DNS, which just does screen scraping of their web interface. But that all aside, just tell acme.sh, I would like a certificate, please. Give me a 4K key. Use Azure's DNS to add and remove the text records. My domain for these text records is certbot.trouble.is, and the domain name I want a certificate for is that one. And I'm going to press enter.
Philip,
quick interrupt. Your
Yes.
terminal has disappeared. We only get your
Has it?
slide. Yes.
Yes.
Oh no.
We can
Is it
see
back?
only slides only.
Oh dear. Just a second. Let me
It's
make
called
my
DNS.
slides.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me make my slides not full screen. If I do that.
Yes.
And then I go to my terminal window. Is it back?
Not yet.
Okay. Let me stop sharing and start sharing again.
Philip, probably you have to share the full screen. You are sharing only PowerPoint.
That's what I thought. There we go. Let me share that full screen. How do I share the screen? I could do that. Share the screen.
Oh,
there. How's this?
Perfect.
Good. And okay, and everything broke because I don't know why it broke. It's telling me why it broke. Oh, it's telling me it broke because I can't actually type. Okay, I did something stupid in my DNS. Oh, yes, I see. It helps if I type it right. There we go. Nobody saw anything. So now it's going to work. So u.trouble.is is a subdomain I have for my apartment, and that host name did not exist. There we go. This one does exist. So what the shell script is doing is it's requesting a certificate for SANOG 36.trouble.is. It's adding this magic text records to by DNS using Azure's API, which I treasure my ignorance on. And it feels, success, hooray. The robot has gone and verified that this DNS record exists. It then goes and cleans up the DNS record again. And lo and behold, at the end of this 20-second long process, a certificate falls out. That's very nice. Let's go and look at the certificates. If I, we can take a look at the certificate using the usual OpenSSL intuitive command line interface. OpenSSL, there's not minus x509 minus no out. That file minus text. We can look at that certificate and we see that it's a signed certificate. It's been issued by Let's Encrypt, and it's valid from the 18th of January, 5 o'clock in the morning GMT, which is nowish, and it's good for about 3 months, and then it will expire and need to be renewed. And there's the certificate underneath it. So this is running purely on my DNS server. The SANOG 36.trouble.is host obviously has no internet connectivity because it's localhost. And I have a certificate here that is now usable for the next 3 months. Let me just go back to my slides for a moment. If I can do play from current slides. There we go, in case. So how does this work as I talk you through it? It verifies the domain ownership by checking for a text record. The reasoning is that if you own this domain, you control its DNS, and you will be able to add a random text record on request. This is the same way that Google Postmaster tools work, or Keybase, or there are several other services that just put a text record in the DNS to prove to us that you own this domain. So the nice, cute thing about Let's Encrypt.org is that it supports indirection. You can CNAME a verification domain. You can tell Let's Encrypt.org that I will outsource the DNS fiddling to some other service. So I CNAMed my verification domain to Azure, who have a nice API, and it allows me to use their API for one thing, which is convenience. For another thing, it's secure. I don't need to go and configure my DNS server to enable automatic DNS updates. I can just carve out a CNAME out of my domain, in my case, certbot.trouble.is, point it at Azure, and the attack surface is limited a bit. I could use NS Update and self-host, but Azure is just easier. The ACME.sh has any number of other DNS providers. I think there's about 20 of them that just work, going from NS Updates to Azure to Hurricane Electric to, I don't know, GoDaddy DNS and Gandhi DNS, and it works. ACME will now regularly renew this certificate for me. So there's a cron job running on my ACME system, which every day it goes and checks, does any certificate need renewing? If so, it goes and tells ACME.sh or the Let's Encrypt.org robots that I would like to renew my certificates, which works in the same way as issuing a new certificate. Create a text record, check that it exists, remove the text record again, and you get a new certificate out of it. So that's kind of nice. So the way I've got this set up in my DNS is I've got certbot.trouble.is is directed at Azure's DNS, which has their API. And then I've obviously not updated these slides since PACNOG, where you see PACNOG here, you know, we mean SANOG, and where you see 27, we mean 36. So I've created SANOG 36 A records pointing at legacy IP localhosts, quad A record pointing at IPv6 localhosts, the X record pointing into the void, and then I have this CNAME, this magic CNAME, underline ACME minus challenge dot SANOG 36 is CNAMEd to underline ACME minus challenge dot certbot. So that goes to Azure's DNS. If I can add a text record there, everything is good. There's a lot of pointers to more resources. If you want to learn more about let'sencrypt.org, you can go to let'sencrypt.org and read everything. Missing from this slide is the RFC. You can go and read the RFC 5888 for everything you want to know about the protocol and more. And ACME.sh is on GitHub. It's a small, tiny shell script. I think the wiki is probably, the text on the wiki is probably much more than the text inside the shell script. So it's extremely well documented, and the code is actually fairly easy to read as well. If you have any questions about this, or you want to go and deploy this and it blows up in your face, well, you get to keep all the pieces, or you can send me email and I'll be happy to provide moral support and maybe even help. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Philip. Thank you for the nice presentation. We have only one question. The question is from Subhas.
Yes.
Would you like to share us how handy it is for key change?
Key change is in if you want to change the key, or what you mean by key change? You want to create a new key. Creating a new key is just issuing a new certificate. So you just do ACME.sh -- issue again, and it will change the key for you. So that's easy enough. I see a second question about ECDSA certificates. Yes, Let's Encrypt.org supports ECDSA certificates. I don't know if I've answered Suvash's question right, if that's what you mean with key change.
Probably Subhash can contact with you offline.
Yes, send me email. I'll try to reply to it.
Oh, he answered yes. Okay. Thank you, Subhash.
Hooray.
All right. Thank you, Philip. Thank you for your nice presentation. Thanks again. Thanks for helping us in the PC. Our next presenter is Champika Vijayatunga, very common face and very old friend of SANOG, and he's also a core com member of SANOG. His day job is with ICANN, and he's always working with DNS, and we found so many of us found him in the DNS and DNS security tutorial, and as well as DNS workshop. So the floor is to Champika. Champika, can you please share your slides? Champ, can you talk?
looks like we have another version problem. I fear.
Yes.
So those folks who are on older Zoom clients will probably see this all just fine. And those of us using new clients cannot.
Hi, Champika. Champika, it seems there is some version-related problem with Zoom. Some of the people with new version cannot hear you or see your presentation. Would it be possible for you to upgrade your Zoom? I think it takes. Is it 5.4.9? 549 is the latest one, Champika. Can you check? It'll just take a minute, so that I think rest of the people who cannot can also. Oh, okay. In that case, let's go ahead with this then. Yes, I can see you and I can hear you. So